In this video, we're going to be looking at a figure I've been really looking forward to getting my hands on. It's the new 86 Studio Series Grimlock and Autobot Wheelie from Transformers the Movie. What makes this be an 86 Studio Movie Series is the inclusion of Wheelie. This is just basically just a G1 Grimlock. Grimlock is my favorite Transformer character, so highly anticipated figure for me to get, because I love Grimlock and I have a huge Grimlock collection. The packaging was really nice. It's black and red and white with a little bit of light blue. A nice big window, and on top of the box there's a window cut that allows light to pass through the box, so the figure can be lit up inside. I do like the big window style on these Studio Series compared to the new Kingdom figures. They got the little tiny little window, you can barely see the figure. On the side of the box you got the 86 logo, nice artwork of Grimlock and Wheelie. On the back of the box you see some older product imaging, which shows a translucent neck piece and a yellow translucent plastic over the chest, which actually would like this because I think the material they used is too dark and you can't hardly see the Autobot logo behind it. And it's being yellow, it would have actually emulated the cartoon a little bit better. As it shows, it takes 24 steps to transform the figure. You've got the Grimlock and the Dinobots storm the Quintesson courtroom in multiple languages. Big screen inspired, scale, detail, backdrop, multiple languages. Mockery of justice, multiple languages. The Studio Series come with a little backdrop cardboard insert. Warning, choking hazards, legalese. On the bottom you get the barcode if anyone needs that. And on this side of the box you got artwork of the Grimlock and Wheelie, Studio Series 86. Number 6 in the line. Alright, let's crack open the box and take a closer look. Here we have Grimlock and Wheelie inside the plastic tray, also with the diorama piece that comes with them. As you can see, inside the tray you have Wheelie secured up here in the corner, his double barrel blaster, and Grimlock himself. He's secured in with a few plastic ties. Let's take a look at the diorama piece. It folds out. You get the Studio Series. Nice little stand for the figure to stand on. Also included is an instruction manual. Let's see. Nice clear instructions, but we don't need those. A little warning sheet. Comes with all Hasbro stuff anymore. Let's set this to the side. Now let's get Big Grim out of the tray. And here we have Big Grim outside the plastic tray. It's such a great looking figure for main. Right now, Hasbro is actually absolutely killing it for mainline figures. Grimlock looks fantastic. He's big, beefy. I know I might be a little biased because I'm a Grimlock fan, but this is just the Grimlock we've been waiting for in a mainline figure. It's just, I'd love to have the entire set of the Dinobots just like this for the rest of the mainline. I'm loving the whole War for Cybertron trilogy figures, and the Studio Series are additions to those. The 86 movie Studio Series. I absolutely love this figure. My only really gripe about the figure is this is too dark. It's almost opaque. It's still semi-translucent, but it is so dark. Let me pull up the camera a little bit. It is so dark. You can barely see the Autobot logo. To pull off the cartoon style, like on the back of the packaging, I would like to see this being like a translucent yellow. This is more like a toy style chest cover, but if this been like a translucent yellow, it would have really popped on this figure. And been a lot more cartoon style. So in the original cartoon, he had this shape, but he didn't have any dark cover over his chest. It's just shaped like this, and you can see the Autobot logo. I'm hoping a third-party company, if they ever, like DNA Designs, if they actually do like a sword for Grimlock, they do a replacement chest piece too. Maybe it's an optional head too, where you can do like red eyes. But I do love that. Talking about that, the head sculpt. That is such a great head sculpt for Grimlock, for the character Grimlock anyway. He does come with his double barrel gun, and He is lacking the sword, which he does come with a figurine of Wheelie, which has very little articulation. It's basically meant to just stand in a certain position or ride on top of Grimlock, which, if you want to make... Growing up, Wheelie was one of the most hated characters in Transformers, and you're including him instead of Grimlock's sword, you're just making us want to hate him even more. Seriously though, it's like, I understand what they were doing here, but including this really makes it part of the studio for the 86 movie series. But if you need a Wheelie, the Titans Return Wheelie is a much better figure and actually transforms and actually has articulation. Speaking of, all you have is ball joints in the hips, and the legs are in a fixed position. Same with the arms, they're in a fixed position. You got ball joints at the shoulders and a ball joint on the head. You might as well not even have there's a waist swivel. But other than that, if you're going to include this, at least make the knees functional. Make the elbows functional. If you're going to include this instead of a sword, make sure this actually is an articulated figure. Back to Grimlock. I like that they went with a gold paint instead of a chrome, which they don't do VAC chrome anymore. But so when was the last time we saw VAC chrome in a main line? It was like one of the movie series, I'm sure, like for one of the base series movies. For this figure, though, I actually like they went with the gold paint. It's very more cartoon-like. As for the look of the figure, I like the big beefy shoulders. I would like to see some kind of piece, the filler piece, when you articulate the elbows. You don't get this weird break right here. They did it with the ankles. When you do the tilt, you got this little piece built on, so you don't have like this weird hinge. I don't see why they couldn't just done that here as well. They have room for it. They could have just angled a piece through here and hid the ugly elbow articulation. And speaking of articulation, he's got a ball joint for the neck, universal joint shoulders, the hinge out, full 360, bicep swivel. The elbows will lock for dinosaur mode, and they'll articulate all the way up to here. He has a waist twist. He's got universal joint hips, nice soft ratchets forward and back, and with the ankle pivots, he can do a full-on Van Damme and keep his feet on the ground. Beat that, Van Damme. That's better than Spider-Man figures. There is not a Spider-Man figure I know of that can do that. I have a lot of figures. That's very impressive. He's got the thigh swivel up here, single joint knees up to 90 degrees. He don't have any forward toe articulation, but he's got ankle pivots like we just showed. And they go all the way and the 90 degrees on those. Oh, it's on the hands, they do swivel, the fist swivel. And for part of the transformation, the back wings do articulate. Before we get into the transformation, let's look at a comparison with some Earthrise figures and some other Grimlock figures. Here he is next to Earthrise Optimus Prime and Earthrise Megatron. Here he is next to Wheeljack and Hoist. Here he is next to G2 Grimlock, which uses the G1 Grimlock mold. And here he is next to MP8 Grimlock. And just curious, so let's see if this fits into the Studio Series Grimlock. Perfect fit. They use the same size peg for the fist hand. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, let's go ahead and just do transformation real quick. I have yet to look at the instructions for this, but let's see if we can figure this out. Let's go ahead and lock the arms. Flip the fist in. Okay. Let's flip the tail out. Let's hinge up this way. Hinge that way. Fold these down. Okay. Okay, so these untack. Look here. Fold. Okay. I bet this is like every other Grimlock. Yes, like G1 Grimlock there. Folds down. Oh, let's put the tail together. There we go. There's a little peg there. And that goes over top of that. Put the feet down. Fold. Oh, fold the head down. Let's keep me from closing the chest. There we go. Flip the dino head up. That's very intuitive transformation. Here we have Grimlock in Dino mode. I like it. That's pretty cool. You can, if you've transformed any Grimlocks in the past, I think you can figure out this one. I just transformed this one on the screen without looking at the instructions. And not mistaken, there is stupid weapons storage. Yep, there's two ports, 2 plugs. Stores the gun sideways. There it is. I will never do that because that looks stupid. I don't know why they didn't have it where you can have the gun like this. Maybe like if somebody does like a sword for Grimlock and a new chest piece, make some kind of adapter. There's a port here that the dino head plugs into. Maybe you could do something where you can plug into the gun, where you can plug the gun here, which would look really cool. Be like more sense than turning the gun sideways on its back. Sculpt wise, I'm digging it. I like it. It's very G1. He's got a big boat tail, which is, of course, the masterpiece looks better, but in robot mode, this one looks so much better on the legs. Speaking of, I actually I just opened it up. I have a second one of these. I forgot to do that little comparison. See how nice and clean the inside the robot leg is on the Steel series. And on the side the MP08, now this is a much older design figure. That is a messy design in comparison. It's a lot more complex, a lot more moving parts. Plus they got the weird gimmick where you move the dino head and shifts the tail feature. But these are annoying. They always, you try to articulate the figure, and I don't like how they did the gun too, like where the port's in little peg here. But anyway, anytime you try to mess with the legs, I always knock the tail out of position. You got to readjust, move it around. Very flimsy. Now, I don't like the design of the shoulders on this one either. It's just big old ball joints. You got better looking joints, and they're sit lower, better proportioned on the Studio series with the universal style joints. Looks so much better. Back to Dino mode. Looking at the figure, the little dino arms The shoulders are on a ball joint. You got a hinged elbow. But that is it for articulation in the arm of the dino arms. Been nice if you actually had a swivel in the dinosaur hand or hinge here. And nice that they could have done like a swivel up here. They could have done it mid and swiveled because it's just a perfectly round cylinder. They could have easily done a mushroom peg where you could actually hit it swivel. Give a little more articulation on the arms. The neck twists side to side. The head can look up, down, articulate jaw. There is a peg inside the mouth. Let's see if that's blast effect compatible. Now it won't. This piece is too big, but if you take it apart, there we go. You can get some plugs right into it and get some blast effect, breathing some fire. That looks really cool there with my lights and the lighting up the blast effect. I like that. Been kind of killer if they actually could have done some light piping up here, like under nice lights that had the eyes glowing blue. But either way, it still looks good. I would like to have some screw covers. Another wish list for third party if you're going to do some upgrade kits for this. I would like to have screw covers and sword, new chest piece, new weapon mount for the dino mode. Alright, let's go back to looking at the articulation on here. Bring the camera back down. With the legs, of course, it is the robot mode shoulders. So they go out, forward and back. The articulation is not going to work as well for the dino legs since they've been forward. You might be able to Grimlock kick butt on Unicron. The claws are hinged. They move up and down. Do a quick little comparison right quick with some other dino modes. Here we have an LMP08. Clearly LMP08 is going to win out in dino mode. Much more articulation for dino mode. You don't have the big boat tail. Actually looks more like a tail. One more comparison. We have G1 Grimlock. Well, technically this is the gray G2. My G1 didn't survive childhood. I played with it so much it fell apart. I took it everywhere because it was my favorite toy as a child. And I got the G2 one. And I took better care of it. I was older at the time when the G2 stuff came out. Of course, G2, you got the Diaclone, where you put the Diaclone driver. It's using G1 mold. Would be nice seeing the G1 style toy next to this one. This looks really cool. I would love to see, I actually kind of like to see another version G1 toyified with the clear neck, the decals like this. Or they have the tempo graphs painted up like these, which would be a nice little extra one. I'm a big collector of Grimlock, so I wouldn't pass that up if they did do that. Let's do a quick little transformation back to robot mode. Close up the mouth, fold it back, pull the wings back, flip up the robot head, pull up the chest, lock it in place, and undo the tail, flip it out, flip it in, flip it out, flip it in, flip it down. These will go up. There's a little peg here, locks in here. See that in? You hear the snap. This is one of the most intuitive transformers I've ever touched recently. Being such a big bot, he transforms super easy. Last step, flip out the hands. Oh, one, not the last step. You got your little plug back here, port here, locks in place. There we have Grimlock back in robot mode. Being a huge Grimlock fan, I know I will be biased. But even with looking at it objectively, it is a great looking figure. And it feels like you are actually getting your money's worth when you're buying a $50 figure. When you think about, like, with War for Cybertron, that was a $50 figure. These are the same price point. I know he came with extra accessories and stuff that nobody uses. But $50? $50. Nah. It's no comparison. This does look great, but it should have been in the $30 price point. This is fantastic. A few little nitpicks here and there. It's like getting wheelie instead of a sword. Very stupid. This is what he should have come with. Heck, just molded this in a single color. It fits. Do a red sword. They didn't have to do the translucent parts. Get an opaque red sword. Didn't have to do the vat chrome. It fits the figure and looks great. And I love the stockiness build the figure. Highly recommend this figure. If you see this on the shelf and you love G1 Transformers, buy this. Couldn't recommend this one enough. I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. Me, Grimlock, munch metal. Raw.